Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Let's Talk Automotive, episode 42 tonight. And in tonight's show, we have the latest and breaking news. We have the review of the Mazda CX3, and our guest tonight is Nico van Hulst, and he's the Managing Director of Surecam South Africa.
And then we're going to have Game Time with Nico, and our next segment on how things work, and my favorite part of the evening, as always, Tappet of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Automotive. So, Mr. Viljoen, it was a very busy week.
I see that, in particular, you and Fritz had a very busy. You were very busy boys this week, yeah?
We had a very busy week.
So what did you get up to?
We had the privilege of being part of a crew that filmed 2 pilot episodes for a new series with Pierre Breitenbach called Footpeg Diaries.
Footpeg Diaries,
Yeah,
I love it.
It was amazing. We had a lot of fun. That's me going up Jericho's Rock.
Did you actually go up that rock in the front there?
Not there. That was exactly where the 4x4s, nobly 4x4s get it. Yeah. So wait for it, and you guys will probably be able to see that in the coming months. It's going to be epic.
I can't wait because the photographs that you posted look
awesome. Was amazing. It was amazing. All right, so it's April Fool's today, the 1st of April. Did you have any good April Fool's pranks that you saw?
You know, I did, but I think we're going to deal with one of those in the news. But when it comes to April Fool's, I generally don't read the news.
Sure.
Because sometimes I get disappointed. But I must say, I think the Facebook fact checkers must have had a torrid time.
They must have been busy today. On that note, let's get started with this week's news. And as we said, the first story is about an April Fool's prank that's gone wrong, completely wrong. And it's VW USA, and they went out a bit earlier. I think it was on the 29th of March.
The 29th of March, Fanie.
And they said that they were going to change their name from Volkswagen to Volkswagen.
Yeah, this, I'm one of the world's biggest pranksters at heart. I do feel sorry for the people that are involved with this because I suspect that they're going to be unemployed as of today.
Yes.
But there is a serious element to this, unfortunately, because they did launch it too early.
Yes. People
believed it.
Yeah.
So markets reacted, the share price went up. And when it came out that this was obviously just an April Fool's prank, there was a serious degree of unhappiness, not the least with the SEC, who are now investigating Volkswagen over this. And but I think their biggest challenge really is with the journalists that broadcast this news and wrote about it.
Yeah.
Have now got egg on their face, and they're seriously embarrassed.
Sure.
And there's a backlash from them of note. So,
yes.
Yeah, I don't know why they launched it on the 29th of March. It could have been a great campaign if it was done on the 1st of April. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. All right, moving on to the next story, and this is one that intrigues me. The 2020 or the 2022 Nissan Patrol Nismo revealed with a 428 horsepower and an F1 fog light. Can you believe that?
What?
Look at that inspired fog light.
There you go. I just hope that the guys don't use that fog light when it's a perfectly clear night. But what an awesome looking vehicle. I've got to say, that's bucket list stuff, Fanie.
Yes. Because the Nissan Patrol station wagon is one of the ultimate cars out there, to be honest. I know it's not that popular in South Africa, but it's a machine.
And that's maybe a story for another day, because in the travels that I've done in the Middle East, that is a massively popular vehicle, and rightly so. It's an incredibly competent vehicle. I mean, look at what that looks like. It's
amazing.
Beautiful.
All right, looking forward to that. And then the last story tonight is one that's a bit closer to home to you, and this is that Tesla has announced that they will produce 100,000 Cybertrucks per year by 2025.
Yeah, interesting story for me, because actually a close friend of mine has now immigrated to the US and lives in California. And before he left, he put down a deposit on the new Cybertruck.
How many people actually paid deposits when that vehicle was
over 250,000?
It's amazing.
So it's crazy. But look, I mean, very clever from Elon Musk. He's created that pent-up demand. And, you know, I think a lot of people who are waiting for the Cybertruck are now actually going into Tesla and test driving other models to purchase until that Cybertruck comes out. I've got to say, if I was in America or if the Cybertruck was here, I'd probably be one of those people.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Even looking the way it looks. Do you
Especially
like
because of the way it looks. Yeah, I love it.
That's amazing. It's almost one of those G-Wagon stories. Is that a prototype or is that the actual?
That's what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. So nothing like that on the roads currently or in the future except for the Cybertruck, and that's exactly why I love it.
Well, hopefully they've upgraded the side windows because that was a bit of an egg on the face moment for you.
It was, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're still pretty tough windows, aren't they?
All right, Pete, so that's the news for tonight. And I think, well, Edward Cottrell says, good luck for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, guys, this is an interactive live show. So if you have any questions for us or for our guests, you can just pop that into the comments below the video. And also you can participate in Game Time coming up a bit later. And yeah, let's have some fun. All right, let's move on to our review of the Mazda CX3. Pete, what was your initial thoughts?
Oh, I love that car. It's again, you know, I want to almost change our ranking because we rank it from 1 to 10. But I almost want to have an addition to that where we rank it as, would we buy this car?
Sure.
And sure. I would.
No, I hear you. Okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this review is proudly brought to you by King Price Insurance. And remember, if you want a quote from King Price Insurance, you can SMS the word King to 31452. Let's have a look.
Now everyone's saying it. If you drive less, you pay less for car insurance. But how much less? A tad less. A smidge less. Around 20%-ish less? Or a whole lot less? Like 70% less for comprehensive car insurance from South Africa's hottest pay-per-K insurer, Chili from King Price. We're big into less. Like 70% less. Visit kingprice.co.za for a quote.
Right, Peter, for you, we are absolutely blessed with reviewing this Mazda CX3. This is the Sky Active G. And yeah, what's your initial thoughts of this beautiful looking car?
It is beautiful, isn't it, Fanie? One of the things that strikes me with Mazda and their designs is they are typically un-Japanese, if I can put it that way. So for me, Mazda are one of the few Japanese manufacturers that actually managed to get some sort of flow with their designs. And this is absolutely gorgeous, the way they've designed this vehicle.
Okay, let's do an exterior walk around quickly. Very aggressive looking front grille, and the lines, it's really aggressive looking.
It's aggressive, it's got some sharp lines on it. It looks a little bit like the CX5, which is its big brother.
Yeah.
So not a bad thing. We obviously have projector lenses for the headlights, which is a must these days.
And a very small little LED, spotlight?
It's a fog light,
spotlight type thing there at the bottom.
Yeah, so, you know, nice and small and discreet. I quite like that.
Yeah. Moving on to the front wheels, or to the wheels, it's 18-inch alloy wheels. It's mind-boggling, actually, if you think it's a small car has got 18-inch wheels on it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it adds to the dynamics, so looking forward to seeing how that translates to the handling on the road.
One thing that was very weird for me when I got into this car the first time is that if you look at the positioning of the side mirrors, it's actually very far back to where we normally find a side mirror.
It is quite strange.
Yeah.
There's obviously a technical reason for it. I don't quite know what it is now, but yeah we normally would seem to find the mirrors a little bit further forward.
It might have to do with the shape and design of the windows. Because this is actually a very weird shaped window and also very small at the back.
Yeah, so I mean the rear door flares up quite high over here. That does compromise, I believe, in terms of the actual opening of the rear window. This is very, very small surface area over here.
Okay, again, like we come to expect in a car in this segment, it's keyless entry, start-stop button, all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, and then if we go to the rear is just as good looking as we found in the front.
Yeah, and we've been off-road a little bit, Pete, so this has actually got decent ride height.
Yeah.
We didn't have a problem off-road whatsoever.
No, we didn't. So,
Okay, I think let's jump in and go for a drive. Who's
100%.
going first? You.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Let's go. So Peter, enough said. Let's get this car on the road and let's have a nice drive and a nice test. Your initial thoughts when you get into the car, what do you think?
I've got to tell you, I was quite shocked when I saw the Alcantara over here.
No, this is suede.
Now listen, it's suede if you're Elvis and you're singing about blue suede shoes. In a car,
Yeah.
it's Alcantara.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
well,
mean,
no,
premium stuff.
It is premium stuff, and the whole look and feel about this car is really premium.
It is premium. I'm going to say this, and I know Mazda might kill me for saying this, but there's a lot of cues from Audi in this, which is a good thing, actually.
Yes.
So if we have a look at the control for the multimedia functionality, it works in a similar way to the Audi system, and in fact, it even looks quite similar to the Audi system in terms of the way the menus are structured.
Yeah. Something that I really enjoy, and I know that you feel the same way, is these air vents that sort of look like a turbine, because they are very focused.
Well, they're very easy to aim at you, isn't it?
Yes.
And if you've got your traditional vents, you've almost got to
It's that up and down and
be a
side to
mathematician
side.
to get
Yes.
the air that flows directly onto you.
Yeah.
You just point and aim and off you go, and it's there. And if you don't want the air on you, you simply close it off.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I love these.
This has really got all the bells and whistles, all the normal stuff that we would expect in a car of this sort of price range and segment. Cruise control there on the right hand side of the steering wheel, all of your infotainment system controls on the left hand side, start, stop, keyless entry. One thing that we haven't mentioned is the heads-up display.
It's a very cool heads-up display because it doesn't display on the windscreen.
Yes,
You've actually got
a small little
a little screen that it flips up when you start the car. When I say flips up, it does it in a premium way. So it doesn't snap up, it sort of goes up nice and slowly.
Yes.
And you made mention of it earlier that, how do we adjust this to make sure it's at the right height?
Yes.
And I think there's a little bit of a genius in this because it forces you to be in the correct seating position to take advantage of the heads-up display. So if you drive a vehicle that's got it like this and you're too high, well, you're too high.
Yes.
If you're too low, you won't see it either.
Correct.
But if you're Goldilocks, it's going to be perfect. But of course, we can create our own Goldilocks scenario by adjusting the seats.
Talking about adjusting the seats, that's the one thing that really caught me by surprise getting into a premium car like this, is that this Mazda CX3, and this is the Sky Active G that we're driving.
What does the G stand for?
Probably for good or great, depending on how this...
Or crap, if it's really bad.
But it doesn't have power seats.
Yeah.
Normally,
funny, you got to look at it this way.
Yeah.
You can't have it all. So
No,
if you're going to make a decision about removing a spec, I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of power seats.
Really?
Yeah. Manual seats I get into, I can adjust immediately.
Yeah.
I don't have to wait for the seat to make its adjustment. So for me, it's a compromise that I'm well willing to make in terms of having other things like we have, where we've got our lane keep assist, or whatever Mazda call it, and our blind spot assist.
Yeah, that's a very good mention, because this has got a 5-star NCAP rating.
And these days, the way that 5 stars are issued is that to get 5 stars, you have to have one of the more advanced electronic safety systems, such as lane keep assist and blind spot assist.
And this has got both.
It's got both.
So in the mirrors, blind spot warning lights come on. The lane keep warning is switched off at the moment.
I've just put it on.
They've switched it on.
Right.
Went over and it beeped.
So it's a warning. It's not going to assist you. Maybe we shouldn't call it assist, because it's not going to pull you back into the lane.
Correct.
But nonetheless, it's enough.
It's a warning. Yeah. The one thing that I want to point out to you, especially for the older folk, is that this has still got a CD player.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's very weird.
In fact, if we have a look at this whole center console, this is perhaps the only, for me, disappointing part of the interiors. It looks like they went to their parts bin and they tried to source some excess stock that they had of old center consoles, and they put it in here because there is this blank over here which we're not quite sure what it's used for. Plus, you've got the CD player, which now I'm trying to put the clutch in. You've got the CD player, and I don't understand that.
Okay, but everything, all in all, very happy on the inside of this car.
Yeah, it's proper.
Good stuff. Okay, so I'm behind the seat now, and I didn't adjust the seat, and this is what I wanted to highlight, is that I'm a little bit too high now for the heads-up display. So I'm moving myself down a little bit, and now the heads-up display is actually in the middle of that small little pop-up screen, and I can see. So one very interesting thing, Peter, is that this heads-up display is actually also connected to the GPS, and obviously the GPS has all the speed limits and all that sort of stuff in. So on my heads-up display, I can now see that the road that we're on traveling on now is 80 km/h speed limit, and this will also warn me when I go over the speed limit.
I need that for my wife. She's a perennial speed freak. So yeah, when we go re-license our vehicles, that would come in very handy.
We've got Leandra in the back, but again, this is probably a mommy's car with 2 small kids.
Yeah.
It's got all the features, the ISOFIX and everything that's supposed to be in the car. So safety, like we said, 5-star NCAP rating. Safety, all the boxes are ticked.
Yeah.
Mommy's car, 2 small kids, everything happy, but you and I in the back is also a bit of a problem.
No, for sure. And so, I mean, we've got to ask the question, does it pass the Fanie fit in the rear?
Not in the rear, Pete.
It's very small in the rear.
It is very small, but again, and this is not to shoot down a car or anything like that. You have to remember, when you buy a vehicle, you need to buy it to fit your needs.
100%.
So if this is too small, there's always the CX5.
And that's the point, isn't it? You know, so there's a price positioning. There's a lot of car that you're getting for the price that you pay for this vehicle.
Yeah.
If you want a bigger car, if you're not going to get many more specs though, because this thing is pretty loaded as the standard execution. But,
talking about price, this specific model is probably, I think, 467 thereabouts.
It's around 470, right about there. Which, given what it's got inside, I think is a fair price.
Yes.
I certainly am not shocked at the price by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Finally, I think before we finish on the interior commentary that we've started with, I think it's fair to mention that despite me criticizing the center console, there are some other elements that I really do enjoy with the CX3, and that is that they haven't overcomplicated things by making everything digital and only able to be accessed via the touchscreen. Yeah. So, for example, I appreciate the fact that there is a volume control button that I can reach down, particularly when the road is bumpy. You know, it's difficult to aim your finger on the touchscreen, so I enjoy that. We've got ample opportunity to also have manual interventions, and then again the these dials and the controls in the aircon are all analog and easy to use and access. And if we look at the cluster itself, very minimalistic cluster.
We've got a rev counter in the middle
and this digital display.
Digital display on speedo here, and then obviously on your heads-up display.
And I like that. I mean, it's actually, for me, it's a bit of a safety issue, because if you've got too much complexity, you're going to find yourself a bit distracted sometimes, fiddling around with all the various settings. So
agreed.
Yeah, no,
I'm very happy.
Yep.
Peter, like we said, we had a lot to say in the car. This is actually a flippin' amazing little car. Eh?
I must say I enjoyed it. I think it's going to be interesting to compare notes in terms of our final thoughts on the vehicle. Maybe you can kick off.
So, I think this is a young family mommy's car. You know, if I look at the attention that my wife gave this car, and Leandra also loves this car, so it's a young mommy's car, if I'm being honest. It's not something that I would necessarily buy and drive, but if I look at the features and I have to give it a rating out of 10 in its segment, this has to rate high, because it's got all the bells and whistles and everything that you would think a car like this would need. So I would give it a 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, so it's interesting that you compartmentalize the car into being a mommy's car. I'm gonna shock you a little bit, and I'm gonna give you a different view in terms of why I would be actually somebody that would look at buying this car. Okay. So I drive 55 kilometers one way to work every day.
All right.
So I'm by myself. I don't need a big car.
Yes.
But I do want a car that's got all the bells and whistles.
True.
And it's quite unusual to get a small car that has all the bells and whistles. So that ticks off a lot of boxes for me in that respect. Another thing that I enjoy is the fact that it's got a 2-litre motor in it. I'm not a big fan of the small block turbo motors. So the performance is there for me in this vehicle, and we get good fuel efficiency out of it as well.
So rating?
You know, again, with everything that it's got, I think the finish is superb on the interior. I think it's an excellent looking vehicle exterior-wise. So yeah, I'm with you there on the 8.5, 9 mark.
Okay, you go 9, I go 8.5.
Okay, done.
And you can still play your CDs in this car, so that's awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, so that brings us to the end of our review on the Mazda CX3. And we look forward to catching you on future episodes of Let's Talk Automotive.
And straight into guest of the week, and Nico van Hulst is joining us in studio tonight. He's the managing director of Surecam SA. Thank you very much for joining us, Nico.
Thank you, Fanie. Thank you, Peter. It's a great privilege to be here. As we said, Surecam started almost the same time as you guys about a year ago in front of COVID. So yeah,
interesting times.
Yeah.
Listen, Nico, before we start, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about Surecam? So obviously, you know, I've heard and seen that you're a big 4x4 enthusiast.
No, we try to be. But with the Amarok, it's easy. No, I love the outdoors, love taking the family outdoors, love the bush. Whenever we have a chance, we go out and yeah, just enjoy South Africa.
What did you do before Surecam?
A lot of business.
Okay.
A lot of business in South Africa. Some good, some bad. I think the major thing that I was involved with before Surecam was AfriSon, which was in the renewable energy segment, and we actually started a LED manufacturer or factory in South Africa, which went very well.
Awesome.
And then we decided to go into something else, or I decided to go into something else, and this was something that we identified.
I mean, I was going to ask you what inspired you to start a live streaming mobile camera solution, which, by the way, is an awesome idea.
I actually still don't know, but I think it's mates of mine, a lot of braais and a lot of questions asked of what does South Africa need, the environment that we are in. What is needed, and this came up, and me and my partner had a lot of discussions regarding this, and Surecam was born last year, January.
So for the viewers out there that's not quite sure what Surecam is, okay, what is it that you guys do?
We do live streaming on anything that's got wheels.
Okay.
Mobile live streaming. So basically we take a DVR, we install it in your vehicle, and link to that depending on the size. It might be a 2-cam, a 4-cam, etc. And you can view this live on your app, on your phone, or in your software, which you have multiple users for.
So on screen, Nico, we've got a footage of a 4-camera setup on a truck.
This is our typical system, yeah.
Okay.
You've got a dual cam on the windscreen that shows the front of the vehicle, and then the inside of the cab, and then on the side of the trucks, especially, to see the sides and see what happens to over your diesel tank, past your tipper on the wheels. And that gives you a clear picture of what happens. You also, if you want, you can listen to audio inside the cab, to ascertain what happened when there is an accident or a problem.
I've got a question here from Fritz quickly. When we obviously streaming this, okay, so we can watch this live all the time.
Yeah.
But obviously everything's also recorded.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and do I have to then download stuff from this SD card or whatever the case is? How does it work?
What happens is on the DVR itself, you either got an SD card or a hard drive, depending on how far you want to go back and how far or how long the truck is ignition on.
Yes.
Because we set the DVR normally to shut down an hour after ignition off.
Okay.
So it doesn't drain the batteries, etc. But that's enough time to record everything that's needed. On the live streaming side, we've got a GSM card inside.
Okay.
So the recording happens on the DVR itself. It's loaded up to the GSM network, which you can then see on your apps. And if you want to, through the software, you go back and you can download that footage from the DVR itself. And the DVR's got a little, call it a power backup system, that if there's an accident and the battery is cut or the power is cut, it's just got enough power to save that last footage, which is the most critical footage that you need.
Amazing. I mean, I think for the viewers' sake, a DVR, we know another term is a PVR with our DSTV. So it's a digital video recorder that you stick in.
As big as your smartphone.
Yeah. And I mean, what sort of size storage has it got?
That depends. We can go up to 6 terabyte.
Wow. Sure. Okay, so that's a lot of video.
That'll give you 6 months, but normally we do a 256 gig SD card or SSD, depending on what the client wants. And that gives you about 2 weeks.
Sure.
If that truck is running non-stop with 2 drivers, you're looking at less than that. So once again, that's a normal package, but we sit with the client and we understand what do they want, what do they need, and we look at that. And the SD card itself is loaded in our rental agreement with 2 gig data to upload, to stream.
Yes.
Now, that's normally good enough for a normal client to use the whole month. But if you've got a problem truck or a problem vehicle or that you need to stream all the time, you'll use that up in maybe 5 days. But then we just open the SIM card and you can top up, pay as you go.
You know, I think, Nico, with what we're seeing on the news at the moment, where trucks are being attacked and burned to the cinder, I mean, that's one clear usage for this that I'm surprised all trucks haven't already put this on, by the way. But I mean, what else do you see as being the use of this system for fleet operators?
It's monitoring. It's in Afrikaans, it's te meet is te weet.
Yeah.
It's for you to know. And in that sense, speaking especially for the trucks, 99% of the footage that we get, that we give to the client, actually protects the driver and the client. It shows that they running these big machines on our roads, and it was external interference that caused the accident, etc., which is good for insurance. It's good for the client.
We're going to show another video quickly, and this is unfortunately not, it's never nice to see, but this was an accident that happened. So that small little truck there tried to overtake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately messed
this
up
was brilliantly done by the driver, I must say.
Yes.
To keep that big rig not doing more damage.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right, Nico, so you mentioned a rental option. So how does this work? If I wanted to install this on my car, you say it's a rental agreement?
Yeah, it's a rental agreement, and to get almost back to your previous question, the uses is for trucks, it's for private vehicles, it's security vehicles, it's wherever you want to see or know what happens. Delivery vehicles.
Yes.
We've got small buckies that it's got the 2 cam on the windscreen, but it's got a camera inside the load box, so people can see what happens to their stock whenever it's loaded off. And it's for all that uses.
Let's talk about the rental agreement quickly. How does that work?
On the rental agreement, we charge a monthly subscription. Yeah.
Okay.
That includes your 2 gig data usage. Yeah. And then there is a small server fee, etc. But what sets us apart from the other companies is you only pay your monthly. there is no install, deinstall, there is no maintenance, the insurance lies with us. So the client can do whatever he needs to do for his business, we keep him streaming.
I hear you.
That's the most important thing, because cameras need maintenance, unfortunately. So it's up to us to
maintain the product,
to maintain it properly and install it properly to a level that we don't need to go back.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, you've obviously, this has been running for a year. You must have some really interesting footage that you've come across in this period. What are some of the weirdest things that you've seen picked up on camera?
Wow, they all.
Other than me picking my nose, because I have this in my bucky.
I think I logged into your vehicle's camera once or twice and never again.
Sure, thank goodness.
No, it's, there's, all footage is so important to the clients and to us. And I can't actually pull one out. It's just a satisfaction of being able to give that client the footage.
Oh, look at that, sorry to interrupt, but look at that guy. He's fast asleep. He's watching a serious movie on the back of his eyelids.
That truck was on Speedo Cruise, and
he fell asleep.
He fell asleep, and luckily he had a guardian angel that actually looked after him. And once again, it just gives the client the footage to react to put processes in place to better his fleet.
Sure.
Because if they didn't have this footage, the only thing they would have is.
Sorry, Nico.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
hectic. And I mean, that's no fault of the driver. No fault. You can see with our camera system, there's also a tracking and speed reporting.
Yeah, sure.
So with the footage, when we present that to a client, you can actually see what is the speed. So all of that facets is geocoded, so you get all the information you need.
Before we get there, I'll be sorry to interrupt you. There's a couple of questions that came through here from the viewers. So let's attend to that before we move on,
100%.
because we've got some interesting stuff to show. There's a question here, where can we buy the Surecam product? We'll get to that just now. We'll give you guys the details at the end of the interview. Interesting question, and I think we spoke to the guys from King Price about this as well. Mm-hmm. Can I save money on my monthly insurance premium if I have this installed?
Most definitely, most definitely. And in certain circumstances with some of our fleet clients, depending on what their risk profile was before, after putting in the cams, they actually saved the whole subscription fee in their insurance.
Wow, fantastic.
So actually,
they're getting it for free.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, now, you mentioned speed just now, Nico, and I believe that this has also been fitted to some rally cars. So I don't know, Fritz, if you've got some footage of the rally cars.
And we're very privileged to slowly start to get involved in the rally scene. And we installed in Henny de Klerk, in his Amarok, and also in his X3. He actually rode his...
I saw that he raced recently,
in Barberspon, where we won.
Yes.
And then also in Dulstrom with his X3. So we're starting to get into the rally scene to show.
So this is one of your cameras installed on Henny's car. This is the front
on the
camera.
Amarok,
Just look at this.
And remember, of
so
course,
much fun.
that people are able to now see this live because it's being streamed via a SIM card.
You look on this at real time or in real time on your phone.
And I believe there's the telemetry on the left-hand side there. I can't quite see the speed, but
it shows the speed there.
And that you can have in any vehicle.
Wow,
it's amazing.
That's incredible. That's incredible fidelity in terms of the quality of the video that is being transmitted. It's amazing.
It's also about the quality of the hardware. So we really, when we decided to go for the specific hardware, there was certain things that we needed to tick the boxes on, and you can see the quality yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just look at that.
That's very cool.
It's amazing.
Now, I mean, other than putting it on commercial vehicles and race cars, I have, as I've said already, I've got this system on my bucky.
Can we show some pictures of you in your bucky?
I dared Fanie.
It might still come on.
This is a family show. But I'll tell you, one of the things that gives me great comfort, if nothing else, is unfortunately, and I have to say it as it is, I do not trust our policemen at all. I mean, we see it in the news all day long, and I take a lot of comfort in the fact that I've got the system in my vehicle. So, I mean, I think maybe that's a comment that I can give and feedback on it. But
I must say that a lot of there's a lot of pros to the system, but feedback that I got from my clients is, especially in the truck industry, is usually, and I'm not saying that's all around, but usually they get a phone call, I've been pulled over, I need to bribe, or it's the reality of South Africa, and the client needs to pay. This time he's got footage to know there is a pullover, or just om te meet is om te weet. It's the surety of Surecam.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Okay. Oh, we've got a picture of Pete in the car. Let's put
Oh,
that up
here
quickly.
we go.
That's why I logged in only twice.
All right. So, okay, it's an amazing product.
Thank you.
We've seen it, we've tested it. It's really cool. And I'm sure that the people would love to know where they can get the product. Okay, so tell us where we can get more information.
Oh, they can either phone me personally on my cell. You'll put up the footage there.
I think it's 079-711-7195.
Yeah, or send an email, info@surecam.co.za. They can find us on our website, www.surecam.co.za, or our Facebook page.
Awesome.
We are
what we'll do
quite
is
available.
we'll also send or share the links, in the comments below, so that people can go to that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else from you, Pete?
No, that's it. I'm now going to get humiliated for the second time tonight, because obviously, Nico, you're going to be playing me.
There's all the information on screen now. So Nico's number, and this is also for the. No, it's not for the ladies to phone you. Eh?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now it's time to have some fun, and this is also time for you guys at home to play along. And this is game time. Okay, guys, so this is how this works, Nico. Luckily, you've seen this before. We're going to show you guys a picture, a partial picture of the car. And Nico said, and I hope that Pete was paying attention, because Nico said that he was quite the 4x4 enthusiast.
Oh.
Try to be.
Okay.
I know where this is going.
So, you guys at home play along. We're going to show you a partial picture of a car. If you recognize it at home, you can put your answer in the comments below. I see Peter Cronje and Adrian Smith and Edward Cottrell's watching with us. Edward, you guys are doing an amazing job on that Mini Indy car.
Have you seen the latest the clear coats that Edward's done now? And he's put everything. Oh man!
Okay, guys, let's get going. So here's the first one. Oh, sorry, you have to shout your name, Nico. You know how this works. Shout your name if you recognize the car. And best out of 7 wins. Here's the first one.
Nico.
Yes, Nico, what is that?
Definitely Jeep. I just don't know what Jeep. So maybe half a point.
No.
Peter, I'm going to say a Jeep Wrangler.
Okay, so I'm going to give you both half a point. That's the JL. Yeah,
Sure.
the new JL. All right, so half a point to each of you, all tied up after one, and here comes the second one.
I can't see the wheel.
Oh, I'm going to say Peter.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that's the new Land Rover Defender.
Pete.
Rarig.
I'm pretty impressed. I'm very impressed. That is indeed the new Land Rover Defender.
And it's the 110 nogal.
Yeah. Let's have a full screen. Yo. Well done,
Listen,
Peter.
Nico, I'm sorry. The only reason why I know that is that is currently my absolute favorite vehicle. It's on my bucket list. I've got lots of pictures of
It's
it.
currently not mine.
Leona de Ocher got that one right. The previous one, Leona got Jeep right. Well done, Leona. Thank you for joining us and watching.
Each one to his own, eh?
Okay, so now the big debate will start because the third one is up next. What is that?
That's a Land Cruiser.
Nico, well done, my man. That is the Toyota Land Cruiser. So now you can fight. Is it Land Rover? Is it Land Cruiser?
Well,
Is
let me tell you, gentlemen, I had the pleasure of driving that exact vehicle, not the one in the picture,
yes.
from Namibia back to South Africa.
Yeah.
And I took the long route via Walvis Bay, through the deserts, etc. It was
Amazing.
magnificent.
Yeah.
It really was.
Okay, so it's all tied up again. 1.5 each after 3, guys.
An easy one, yeah.
Okay, here comes the fourth one.
Patrol.
Nico.
Well done, Nico.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that was well spotted. I wouldn't have got that.
That's the patrol pickup. Very interesting.
I saw one today at a 4x4 shop with the Australian ute back
Yes.
with all the proper wood and
Nice.
sorry.
Okay, so 2.5 to 1.5. Nico's in the lead, guys. You at home, Liana got Land Cruiser right as well. Yo, she's on fire.
Wow.
Okay, and here comes number 5.
Amarok.
Oh,
Nico.
I was going to be very upset. I was going to be very upset if he got that one wrong. Because he's been chirping us the whole day about Amarok. The 2-liter milk bottle.
Yo, 2-liter milky.
Just
2-liter milky.
Look at that. I must be honest, Nico, it was difficult for me to find one of those pictures of the Bucky off-road, to be quite honest.
We'll talk afterwards.
Hey, Brian is also watching with us. Brian, thank you. You got that one right. Amarok, that's absolutely correct. Thank you for watching.
they're pretty fast.
They are very fast, and they're getting
On
it
off-road,
right.
eh?
Yes.
I'm
we're
talking
talking
about-
Amarok.
I'm talking about the viewers.
Viewers, yeah.
I need to give them my WhatsApp number.
Yeah. Okay, guys, here comes number 6.
Peter.
Oh, Pete, what is that?
That is a Ford Ranger.
I think you a closet Ford Ranger fan because every time there's a Ford on the show, you get it right.
Nico, it's a wild track.
Again,
there's a huge difference between
Yes.
a Ranger and a wild track.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes. Yeah. You got it wrong, so I'm gonna take 2 points away.
No.
Okay.
I've had it where they've actually switched off the screen, so I can't see what the cars are.
All right, guys at home, here comes the last one, and this is pretty difficult, I think.
Peter.
Oh, come on. Don't do this to me.
You see, I used to be the product manager for this brand.
Yeah.
So that is
Volvo.
Mercedes-Benz G-Class.
I'm
And it's a
joking.
G63.
Well done, Peter. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can expect rain for the next week because Peter's actually
I thought you deducted 2 points.
it's a tie. It's unfortunately a tie. So it's
I'll take a tie with him any day.
it's at least just 1
You're
week's
going to remember
rain.
it, eh?
Yes.
You know what? There's few days where this actually occurs, so I'll take it.
Yo, Leona got Merc right as well. Nadia got G-Wagon. No, well done, guys. Thank you very much. Nico, thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Automotive.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. It
Well
was
done.
amazing.
Thank you.
Well done
Yeah.
on an awesome product, and we hope you all the success in the world.
Absolutely.
Just one shout out.
Yes,
IT partner, Adrian Smith, thank you.
lekker. I like that. All right, guys, so that brings us to the next segment, and in tonight's segment on how things work, Professor Viljoen will explain to us how a clutch and a torque converter works. And ladies and gentlemen, this is proudly brought to you by Suzuki Auto South Africa.
Welcome to Let's Talk Automotive, and in this week's segment on how things work, we're going to give you a little introduction into how a clutch works and how a torque converter works, and we'll also discuss where we use a clutch and where we use a torque converter. And I'll talk a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages of each system. So let's first of all kick off with a clutch. Now, most of us are familiar with a clutch, because a clutch is used on a manual gearbox in the main. Now I say in the main because we also use a standard type of clutch on a dual clutch gearbox, but that's for another day. So let's have a look at our manual gearbox and the layout of a clutch and what its function is. So first and foremost, a clutch is used to coordinate the engine revs, let's say at 2000 RPM when we're trying to pull off, with the actual gearbox and our stationary wheel. You can imagine if you didn't have a clutch, it would be just about impossible to pull off. So as you start the car, it's going to start pulling off by itself. So we have a clutch so that when we press the clutch pedal, we disengage the clutch itself. And so we have a scenario where we can have our engine revving at 2000 RPM and our gearbox and our shaft going to our wheels at 0 RPM. Now the way a clutch works is that we have a flywheel, and if you have a look at a flywheel, it doesn't look too dissimilar to that of a disc brake, and in fact it has a very similar function. And then between the flywheel and our pressure plate, we have our friction surfaces in the form of our clutch plate. And our clutch plate friction surfaces are, by the way, very similar to the material that we would see on brake pads. When I release my clutch pedal itself, what I'm doing is I'm allowing this very, very strong spring to now compress the clutch plate between the pressure plate and the flywheel, which allows me to then have a direct transfer of power from the engine to my drive shafts. Now obviously, as we've all experienced, if you just drop your clutch, it's quite a rough pull-off that we have, and we can either cause damage to our gearbox, or it's very uncomfortable, or we can cause the wheels to spin, but most likely we're going to stall the engine. So what we want to be able to do is to have a coordinated pull-off, and we do this by seamlessly and slowly letting the clutch go. And what that does is it allows a certain degree of slippage to occur so that we have a nice smooth progression from 0 RPM up to 2000 RPM, and we've now coordinated the engine speed perfectly with our propeller shaft speed. So for many, many years, one of the key advantages of having a manual gearbox and therefore our use of our clutch is that we had a very direct transfer of power between the engine and the driven wheels, which meant that we had very, very good fuel consumption figures. The disadvantages is that when we've got a clutch and a manual gearbox, in traffic, it's a lot of work. And so from a comfort point of view, what designers then did was designed automatic gearboxes in a traditional sense. So our planetary gearbox automatic. Now in this use over here, we can't use a standard clutch. So designers developed a torque converter. And basically what a torque converter is a hydraulic pump. And it's very, very clever in the way it works. So what we have is that one half of the pump is connected to the shaft, the crankshaft from the engine. And as the engine starts to spin, it starts to turn these turbine blades in this half of the torque converter. That causes hydraulic fluid to be pumped across to the other side of the torque converter, and that action starts to turn these turbine blades, which are in turn connected to our output shaft in our gearbox and to our driven wheels. Now, I want you to try and imagine this as being the same as if you took two standard fans and you placed one fan in front of the other fan and you only switched on the one fan. The airflow from that first fan will eventually cause the blades on the second fan to start turning, and that's exactly the same principle that occurs with the torque converter. Now, in the image you'll see that there is this little part of the torque converter called a stator, and all that stator does is it just changes the direction of the flow of the oil, or the hydraulic fluid should I say, so that the one half of the torque converter doesn't work against the other half of the torque converter. Now again, very similar to the way that a clutch will work, this enables us to be able to have a certain degree of revolutions on our engine, but be in a neutral state with our gearbox and our prop shaft. And as the pressure builds up in the torque converter, and eventually we can get to a point where we lock the torque converter, we then have a direct transfer of power through to the rear wheels. So A torque converter provides a nice, comfortable way of transferring power from the engine through the gearbox seamlessly and automatically. And in fact, a torque converter is quite a robust device. So it helps us with our launch control systems, for example, as well. And in fact, it's such a tough device that the new Koenigsegg uses a torque converter to replace the functionality of a standard gearbox itself. So in fact, what we found on this car is that it's got its engine and a torque converter, but a massive torque converter that creates all of our gear ratios by allowing a certain degree of slippage to occur. So an incredible design that they've come up with Koenigsegg, but also it just shows how tough a torque converter is. The disadvantage of a torque converter really is that in older versions of a torque converter, there wasn't quite a direct transfer of power between the engine, the gearbox, and then our driven wheels. And that always meant that an automatic gearbox would have a higher fuel consumption than a manual gearbox. But these days, where we've got very, very complex gearboxes and very, very advanced torque converters that have clutches in them in their own right and are able to lock up between each gear, we do now get this direct transfer. And what we are now seeing is that on modern cars, an automatic gearbox and a manual gearbox are giving us exactly the same fuel consumption figures. So that's it in terms of the basics of how a clutch works and a torque converter works, and I hope you found that at least a little bit useful, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode of How Things Work.
Peter, this is just amazing what we could come up with to solve these problems.
You know what the sad part is, of course, is that with electric vehicles, those two items fall away completely.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
But amazing to think that, obviously, just to figure out the engine and how that had to work, but then to try and, take the actual drive to the wheels and how to disconnect the engine from the gearbox. That's amazing.
You know what's even more cool? Is this technology has been around for over 100 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we're getting to our favorite part of the show, just because we can have a laugh at somebody doing some dumb shit. So let's have a look at Tappet of the Week. So Peter, this oak's trying to jump on his bike.
Is this Tappet of the Week or Moron of the Week? Because that was a pretty stupid move.
I don't know how he thought that would actually work, but now the amazing thing starts to happen. The bike does not go down.
I wonder if he had put it into first gear and it's now running against idle.
It just will not give up. Look at this bike. On the ice.
Oh, man, I love.
Obviously in gear. Yeah, they've got spikes in their wheels to obviously do some drag racing on the ice.
You've got to be a bit careful how you dive in front of that bike as well.
And try as he may, this oak on the other bike cannot get the bike down. It's amazing. Obviously, the center of gravity on this bike is quite amazing. He falls down.
Centrifugal forces on the wheels keep it up.
And to end it up, it goes into the car.
So it's a double whammy.
A double whammy. Always fun to have a laugh. Thank you very much for everybody joining us tonight. Brian, Liana, and Nadia, and Adrian, and Tina, and Leandra, and Peter, Edward. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us.
And to Nadia, no, the Cybertruck is not a prank. It is the actual Cybertruck that is being launched.
Yeah. It does look a bit like a high school boy drawing, to be quite honest.
It was. I think he did draw it
really?
when he was in school. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that somebody would actually pay that much to buy that car is just mind-boggling. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Next week, we've got the Suzuki Brezza.
Yep, so we did the review on the Brezza. What an awesome little car.
Awesome little car. And it's obviously doing quite well because I see the guys are running out of stock. So, yeah. Okay, so Peter, you must have a wonderful week.
You too. Have a great Easter break. And to all our viewers as well, have a very blessed Easter. And we look forward to catching up with everybody next week.
We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Have a good one.